It's the Gauntlet. Let's go.
You smell what the Gauntlet is cooking.
What up, what up, what up? It's another episode of the Gauntlet, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, straighten up my, my camera, get my beard all right. All right, then, cool. It's your boy, Denzel Snipes, a.k.a. Blackbeard Snipes. It's another Saturday evening, so let's get it in. It's another episode of the Gauntlet. We got a jam-packed show for you. We got our player of the week. We got some happenings going on in the news, in the NFL world, and, of course, the world-famous non-sports topic for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long. But before we get started, let's get the crew in here all the way from diggity DC. Give it up to JJ Dynamite Jenkins. Let's go.
How to follow that one up, man? What's going on with you?
What's going on? What you got up there? Some Chinese food or something?
No, just a burger or some shit.
Oh, well,
my
you
bad.
was eating like it was Chinese food.
Yeah, but how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I ate dinner and I've been killing time waiting for the show to start. So I was kind of drowning my sorrows in the PS4 for a little bit till I came home.
I feel you on that one.
And speaking of video games, we got a hell of a non-sports topic coming for everybody tonight. But also, let's bring on in from the mean streets of Livonia, Michigan, right outside of Detroit, repping the D. It's Detroit Dom. Let's get it in. What's up, boy?
What's up, man?
Yeah, what's going on? So what's going on? So I understand you attended the Lions practice earlier?
Yes, I was there. Very well attended. Offense looked very good. Defense, well, I mean, they had refs and stuff. I think I heard like 6 or 7 penalties on the defense. Like they were doing red zone drills, and it's like they punch it in. Holding, defense, penalties declined, touchdown. Next play, holding, defense. I'm trying to watch for guys. I'm like, I don't even see these holds. I guess earlier in the week they had their first practice with refs, and our offensive line or our offensive coordinator was ripping into the refs like, "Why are you guys here? Are you going to throw flags?" And I was like, "Damn, man, it's only practice. Chill out."
Yeah. Well, some of them go by practice how you play. So, I mean, I can't blame them too tough. You know what I'm saying? But we will get it started with our sports morons of the week. So, Dom, you want to take it away?
Yes. I feel like pretty much anytime during the regular season or in draft prep, Chris Sims has been known for his legendarily bad rankings of players. The one that I saw most recently was the top 5 wide receivers. I can't remember the order, but he had Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and I can't remember the 5th one. But the name that I saw was missing. I looked at it at first. I'm like, oh, that's a solid list. I kind of disagreed on the order, and then I kind of blinked, and my brain started working, and I was like, wait. You're telling me Devontae Adams is no longer a top 5 wide receiver? I was like, man, get out of here, Chris Sims. Like, you were an underwhelming son, a washout as an NFL player, the son of a overrated quarterback. Shout out to you, Phil Sims. And Chris Sims, I don't know. Like, I respect some of the stuff he says, but some of it, it's like, I don't know if it's just like clickbait. I know he's got a show on, I want to say, NFL Network. I just think he says outlandish stuff sometimes. It's like, you can't really believe what you're saying, do you? Devontae Adams, not a top 5 wide receiver? Get out of here, Chris Sims.
Jeez.
Absolutely. And JJ, it's on you, buddy. What you got for us?
I don't really have much going on, to be very honest with you, but I'll just make it short and sweet. Homeboy said it was going to be, on Twitter, said it was going to be NFL should have an 82-game season. I'm just going to say I hope you're not serious. Like, I just really want to think about things before you say it. I don't care if it's just for attention or not, but that's really all I got. Like, real talk.
How would that work?
Well, just to, I guess, kind of piggyback off the both of them. I mean, you have your sports pundits who have their egregious takes and whatnot. And I know that, half of this, if not a lot of it, is opinion-based. But to say that Devontae Adams is not a top 5 receiver right now, I would have loved. I didn't watch the telecast. Maybe Dom can answer this, but I would love to see his list on on what 5 are better than him. Because Devontae Adams is going to do numbers. And sure, he doesn't have Goat Rodgers or anything like that, but Derek Carr, we all have agreed, is a pretty criminally underrated quarterback. That's his best friend from Fresno State, and they're going to put up some numbers. Me personally, I had the Raiders. Did I have them making the playoffs? Yes, I did. I had them making the playoffs. I think that they're going to make it. There actually have been several people, including the crew from last week, that said that that crew that wasn't supposed to be here that was. Some of them had the Raiders winning 10, 11 games and still in the wild card slot. So, quick question: they don't steal that wild card slot without Adams, right? And on to what what JJ what he came across as 82 game. He can't be serious. I know JJ said that like 5 times, but here's number 6. He can't be serious. I know we all love football. To a lot of us, it's our favorite sport. But at some point in time, you got to think about the players. You know what I mean? So you got to – the Super Bowl ends. You kind of got to find something to do until preseason happens. I did it. I watched the USFL. I watched the NBA Finals. I watched baseball. If your life sucks that bad that football ain't here, then your life just sucks. You know what I mean? So, I don't know what to tell you, player. You probably need to go find some homegirls, some dates, some hype or something. Go get it. Buy a Mad Dog and some Luther Vandross going or something, man, because I ain't got nothing for you. And now we're back to it. And with that being said, we're going to go on to our player of the week.
Mad
the
Dog.
world-renowned
Luther Vandross.
defensive end. Don't act like Luther still don't slap, y'all. Come on, man. JJ, bro, as many R&B combos we done had, man, I know you know. I know you know. And like Dom didn't have a date last week playing some Luther.
Luther is R&B royalty. I was laughing about the Mad Dog.
I was too, but Luther is that.
My
dude.
stomach looked up at me and was like, "Don't get any ideas."
I know, right? Like, don't do it. We come from the Iron Generation, but that don't mean we would ever go back. Well, anyway, our player of the week is J.J. Watt. Now, he was drafted by, of course, me being a resident Houston Texans fan. It's crazy because back in 2006, I'm going to take it back a little bit here. Back in 2006, the Houston Texans shocked the world by making what people thought at the time was the dumbest decision by drafting defensive end Mario Williams instead of running back Reggie Bush. And so the owner had justified it by saying, this is going to be the catalyst to the defense right here. And years later, it came to fruition. J.J. Watt got drafted in 2011. The defense kind of improved a little bit, like along the way. But 2011, J.J. Watt comes along. And as a rookie, he helped the Texans win 10 games and make the playoffs. In the postseason, he had a pick six, his first ever highlight in the win versus the Cincinnati Bengals. But, you talk about a man, whenever you were in the same sentence as J.J. White, that's royalty, okay? We did cover Aaron Donald, here and there. And the way I see it is this. I see it as far as pass rushers, the previous generation was J.J. White, was Reggie White. That was their great. And then for Watt's generation, he was the great. And then the now / future, however long he may play, is Aaron Donald. But some quick career highlights about him. He's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. So Walter Payton Man of the Year in 2017, a 5-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowl, 2-time NFL sack champion, NFL forced fumbles co-leader in 2018, NFL 2010s All-Decade Team. Let's see, it was a Lott Trophy winner in 2010 at Wisconsin, a Burt Bell Award winner. In 2014, he was a first-team All-American in 2010, first-team All-Big Ten in 2010. NFL records, most seasons with 20-plus sacks, 2. Most seasons leading league in sacks, 2. And before I pass it on to Dom, in 2014, Aaron Rodgers won the Most Valuable Player award. The Houston Texans went 9-7 that season, and J.J. Watt was a Swiss Army knife. He had 5 touchdowns on offense when they lined him up on offense. On top of him having 20-plus sacks, and they actually had conducted a poll with the nation, and 82% of the nation said J.J. Watt got robbed and should have won Most Valuable Player. But I'm going to pass it on to Dom. Dom, your thoughts about J.J. Watt?
Also keeping it in a similar vein with that 2014 season, because I'm looking now, he also had a pick 6, 5 fumble recoveries, one of which he returned for a touchdown. The aforementioned 20.5 sacks, also 29 tackles for losses, which is incredible. I'm looking to see. I don't think Pro Football Reference keeps batted balls, but you said it yourself, J.J. Watt. He literally. I don't even think you could say brought back. He brought out the batted ball, and you see guys trying to do it now all the time. Like if you can't get there on the sack, just throw your arms up. And obviously, J.J. Watt had some seriously long arms, but man, what can you really say? I mean, he's basically the preeminent pass rusher of that era, like you said. A little surprising to me because I'm usually pretty underwhelmed by pass rushers coming out of the Big Ten, other than the Bosas. I forgot that JJ, much like his brother, started out at Central Michigan, but obviously moved on to Wisconsin. And
he was at Central Michigan with AB.
Yes. And how many more sacks would he have had he not missed 13 games in 16, 11 games in 17, 8 games in 19, 8 more last year, 9 more last year, 10 more last year. Excuse me, I can't do the math. Like I said, one of the best ever, period. Definitely the best one of that generation. I mean, he's got 135 games played and 102 sacks. Like, that's creeping up on a sack per game. That's insane.
That's nuts. That is crazy. JJ, your thoughts on JJ Watt?
Well, I will have to kind of challenge Dom a little bit on the swatted ball theory, because I do recall Haloti Ngata for the Ravens being considered a defensive lineman who swatted at the balls as well. But he isn't the force J.J. Watt is. I do think J.J. Watt should have won that MVP 2014, although I think that was the year Aaron Rodgers went like 45-6 as far as touchdown interception, or one of the two. And so, like, unfortunately, and the team had a better record. It was hard to argue against it. But I think J.J. at his peak was very much – I could take him and challenge Aaron Donald at his peak, because there just wasn't nothing that man could do. I think I remember, is it either 2013 or I think it was – I want to say it's 2012. And the year we won the Super Bowl, we were, I think, 5-1 or so, whatever the case. And we came to Houston and had to come down. Terrell Suggs came back. It was game 6. And J.J. Watt just owned us, like just flat out owned everything. Flacco couldn't do nothing, and Flacco couldn't do anything, but it spoke to his, greatness. I am happy to have selected this guy, because I do think at his peak, he doesn't get the credit that people should really give him, because they didn't realize how much he was a lethal force on that defensive line.
When was the last time a defensive player won the MVP, period? I feel like in the NFL...
Lawrence Taylor, 1986.
Okay, yeah.
Before him was Alan Page in 1971, and before him, nobody.
I was going to say, so NFL defensive players winning the MVP is like college players winning the Heisman, which there's one list on that name. It starts and ends with Charles Woodson.
Yeah, you see, as Woodson was the last defensive guy to do it. I mean,
the only.
And this is why I had always said, NFL most valuable player, just like you said, was the Heisman Trophy in the NFL, because it's essentially a quarterback and running back award. You know what I mean? And even then, who was the last running back to win MVP in the NFL? AP.
I'm surprised. Who won the MVP when the Ravens got their first title? I don't even know.
Who won?
Like Marshall Faulk or something?
I think it was Faulk.
Could have been.
And I know the MVP of the Super Bowl was Ray Lewis. He had 8 tackles, 8 solo tackles.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I clearly in that year you could have easily given the MVP to Ray Lewis or maybe Ed Reed.
Everybody at that time.
Yeah.
Speaking of Joe Flacco, you see who's ahead in the training camp battle so far up there in New Jersey? I'll give you a hint. It's not Zach Wilson.
Oh wow,
Flacco. Well,
Zach Wilson's too busy out chasing MILFs.
Well, the thing about Flacco is like, if you can get him a run game along with a good offensive line, I mean, you're not at a place you're going to.
I feel like you just have to hypnotize him and tell him it's January. Because this is not even hyperbole. That is the greatest playoff run I've ever seen by any quarterback in NFL history.
The Flacco, oh man, like dude. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. And with all due respect, to the Eagles, and Nick Foles' run, I just feel like the 2012 Ravens, their level of competition was just that much stiffer because they had to knock out number one Denver at Denver.
He didn't throw a pick. What did he throw? Like 9 touchdowns?
11.
I was going to say, 11, 12, and no picks.
I'll say this. He definitely, it was fun to live it. I knew that Denver game. But you never know, James. You never know. But at the end of the day, it was a great run. The Denver game was the one that had me thinking. The one that it was just like.
Same Grizzle.
We had never beat Manning. He beat Manning. So.
Yeah. And then what was it? And then for the 12 Ravens, who did y'all play in the AFC title game? That was
New England. We went back.
It was New England. That's right. It was New England.
We went back.
So they won.
Hold on. I got to say, we said after 2011, you think we was going to come back there and not let that win and let this win?
Yeah.
No, as soon as we lost the game against Denver, I said New England's next. All right, so I bet we're going to the Super Bowl because we're not letting it go. You're not going to pass us this time because Flacco outdueled Brady the year before in 2011. It just didn't because Condit didn't give him a chance to get to the overtime, but Lee Evans dropped the touchdown that once again Flacco put out. That was when England started to really start taking Flacco seriously.
Yes. And you know what? I stand by my point. The 2012 Ravens did face stiffer competition because you win at Manning and at Brady back-to-back weeks. Right. It is hard to argue against that, period.
Right.
It's hard to argue against that.
Flacco was also the first one I remember getting a mega contract after he got that Super Bowl ring. People were complaining. I was like, did y'all not watch those games? I think he earned it. But he didn't do a whole lot after that, but
think about that whole contract situation that always gets me laughing. It's like, I mean, what were we supposed to do?
Right.
50 wins by his first 4 years on his belt. He had been to 3 AFC championship games, won one, just won a Super Bowl off one of breaking the record or tying the record for touchdowns. And we literally told the man, win and get a ring. And you get paid. And what does he do? Get a ring. Like, what are you supposed to tell him?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a comment that long be posted on the screen.
You know what's going to happen. That's the Resident Eagle. Well, not the Resident Eagle fan. There's also Eric Wilson. Shout out to Eric Wilson and Sports Arena. But I hear exactly what you're saying. I just have that Ravens team that much. He won at Manning and Brady. It's hard to argue that. As many times we covered Peyton.
I'll put Foles on the podium. I would say for top 3 playoff runs.
Yeah, he's definitely a top 3 playoff run.
James, you are my boy. I hear you. But when you think of the 13-3 Vikings, you had Case Keenum and pretty much a great defense. Then you're talking about the 13-3 number 1 seeded Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning and Von Miller. It's not exactly the same comparison.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sorry to say I don't care about record. There's a reason the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl. There's a reason the Falcons have never won a Super Bowl. I don't give an F about regular season wins. Falcons. Vikings.
And he said it. He said it. They were coming off of that miracle win. It took a miracle to beat Drew Brees.
Those same two teams, the Falcons and the Vikings, faced each other in the NFC title game back in the early 2000s, and that was like that 15-1 Vikings team with Randall and Randy Moss, and then they lost to the Dirty Birds and Chris Chandler. Like, come on,
Chris Chandler. Hey, to be fair though, Jamal Anderson was top 5 at that time period.
I feel bad for him. They just ran him to death on that pool table down there in Atlanta. Dude was out of the league in 5-6 years because he had 8,000 carries on his body.
Dude was out of the league in 6 years because they had Chris Chandler.
Leave him alone. You know Jamal is going through a lot right now. Damn.
Yeah, he was, but back then, I mean, he was that guy. Vikings was hot. They had everybody dancing, so, I mean, it is what it is. But now we do have to move on a little bit. And so our next topic is the NFL appeals DW4 suspension. So for those who hadn't been who've been asleep all week long, so the judge that came back in the Deshaun Watson sexual assault case, that came back with a 6-game suspension. And I know my take at first was that the NFL, maybe colluded with the judge or something like that. I mean, there's just so many angles we can go here, but the judge came back with 6 games because he wasn't criminally charged. They put it in the hands of the judge. The judge came back and said, okay, 6 games. All right. And so now all of a sudden they're saying, whoa, wait a second. No, we're going to appeal it. We want him suspended indefinitely at a minimum a year, which I called some time ago on the Gauntlet, that someone's going to want him gone for at least a year. And so what I kind of feel like right now is the NFL, and this is just my take on it, I feel like the NFL is playing past the buck. You have your own standards. You have your own code of conduct. Ask Zeke Elliott. Ask anybody else who'd have been in that type of situations. You took it upon yourself. Why didn't you take it on yourself to suspend him indefinitely? And you have your own code of conduct. I felt like the NFL passed the buck because they didn't want to look like the bad guy. And when the judge came back, exactly, Dom, exactly. When the judge came back with 6 games, y'all said, whoa, hold on a second. But you know what? I've said it a bunch of times in the comments on Sideline Sports, on Sports Arena, on any show that this comes up, and that is when it comes to racism, bigotry, sexual assault, it runs rampant in the NFL because they always put money over morality. One more time, tell me again why Rob Manfred is a worse commissioner than Goodell. Go ahead, Dom.
Honestly, I'm kind of just tired of this whole saga. Like I thought they would give him more like 8 games. Either, I'm thinking because it came out a while ago that neither Watson nor any of his people, nor the NFLPA, they weren't going to appeal whatever the suspension was. So I think they already kind of knew it was going to be. And I'm sorry, for 24 allegations, I don't care if he's been, if he's been formally charged or not, he hasn't been found guilty of anything. They gave Big Ben 6 games for 1 sexual assault. You got 24 on top of that. Like, that's apples and apples, and it's not adding up. My guess is that they go back to the table. The NFL negotiates with Watson's people, and I think it ends up being 10 or 12. I don't think they're going to get a year out of it. But I also think, and I've said this for over a year now, I think there's still at least a decent chance that Deshaun Watson never plays another snap in the NFL again.
Wow, you're going that far?
I mean, 24 people can't be making up stories. Look what happened with Ray Rice. Like, okay, that was just assault. That was assault and battery. I mean, really, which is worse? Both are unforgivable. But Ray Rice never played another down in the NFL because he came with that one-hitter quitter. And they made an example out of him. And this is probably one of those times, especially after how long this has got dragged out, and they finally suspend him, and they're like, oh, we're not going to appeal it. And then the NFL's like, oh, we're going to appeal it. It's just a mess. Like, figure it out and do something. But yeah, he could be done.
That's interesting. JJ, what do you think, man?
I can't really kind of agree with.
It's got to be a James Alt.
It has to be.
with the Pokemon.
That's a James Burner account. Go ahead.
What?
It has to be a James Burner account.
You know it's him. It's a damn Pokemon.
Yeah. No damn Charmander. Watson innocent. Get out of here. JJ, go ahead, bro.
Well, I think at the end of the day, you better look at the language of the rule book exactly, because if it is based off the code of conduct for NFL, the rule, if I remember, states correctly that if it's your first time offense, the suspension is 6 games. So no matter if it is 24 or 1, if it doesn't specify that, you can't really make an example out of him, because his people can fight back and also look at the language and say, hey, no, this is my first offense, whatever the case may be. I think at the end of the day, if you want to go this route, maybe it could be an optics thing where you keep going for this, go through this route. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you drag it out, it's just going to delay it even more. But then you're going to keep facing scrutiny because you're not coming to a decision.
Well, let me ask you something, JJ, before you continue, because you said, according to the code of conduct, if it's your first offense, it's 6 games, right? Okay, so with that being said, the NFL themselves could have said 6 games. They put it in the hands of somebody else.
Yeah, they didn't want to deal with the situation. They didn't want to make,
because they didn't know. I mean, regardless of what they thought was fair, it's like you said, they passed the buck. They're like, oh, we're not going to deal with this. And then you come back in, you're like, oh, we wanted you to deal with it, but now we don't like how you dealt with it.
But you see how that sounds?
The crazy this is different. This is no different from any of the NFL overall as a whole, because the whole point of getting somebody that's outside the NFL to take a look and make a decision is to have no bias. And so if this is what you seek to, which is part of your protocol, and you now don't like the decision, you should have just took ownership of it in the first place and laid down that decision up indefinitely.
Thank you.
Moved on.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, what other professional league has a judge completely from the outside come in and handle player discipline? It's almost unheard of.
Yeah, I was shocked. We were all for sure that, okay, the NFL is going to drop the hammer.
To be very honest with you, to be very frank, this goes back to the racial and divisive part. You didn't want to be the one to make an example of Deshaun, because we're at a very critical time right now in the world when it comes to racism or how to, ham treatment and things like that. So because I think Deshaun Watson's story came out not too long after the whole change in the whole culture with our world, George Floyd's death and stuff. So let's face it, you didn't want to be the one to make that decision, because you're already known as the place that is kind of allowing these behaviors to these mindsets to be able to roam around freely. You don't want to be the one to make that example. But now you want to kind of sit there and say, hey, you didn't give me the example. You didn't give me the suspension I wanted.
Yeah, let's turn the page on. Let's turn the page on this and get back to Dan Snyder. That scumbag. That's the happiest man in America right now. His name ain't been in the news in weeks.
Oh yeah,
that's the fun with Congress, like not too long ago.
You're next, Dan Snyder.
Yeah, Snyder's next. I mean, everybody know his time is coming. So let me ask you a question, JJ. Do you feel like that was the right call as far as his suspension?
By the letter, by the way it states, from what I understand, I mean, yes, because at the end of the day, it's just because you may want a decision to be made doesn't mean that's going to be the decision that's actually going to be made. And you have to kind of understand that it's being, whether you think he's guilty or not, the fact is there were no charges pressed against him. They all settled outside of one. So you unfortunately have to, unless you're going to appeal it or fight it, you have to accept it for what it is. And that means whatever consequences come after that, you just have to accept it, whether you wish you could have more or not. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just where we are. So is it the right one? No. But is it it's the right one? It's the right one based off of how these particular situations are defined, based off and what their protocol is. If you didn't like it, do you have to do the?
I mean, 6 is about what I expected, and then I figured they'd appeal it to 4.
Only thing that I would say is, like, maybe it should be amended, because it can't be for any and all first offenses that you only get 6 games, because you see what they did to Ray Rice. And as a matter of fact, I think he initially got 6, but then there was an outcry about it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then look at it like this: like, okay, let's say, like, me and Dom are in the NFL, and we're in a bar and we get into an argument, or rather, Dom's in the NFL, I'm not. Dom pulls a gun on me. Okay,
But
so that's aggravated assault off the rip. You mean to tell me you're only going to give him 6 games for that?
But that's what I'm saying. You have to deal with where the state right now. But if you're constantly going to be amending things based on situations, you're going to never really have a consistent rule of law or a consistent rule of discipline because of how some situation is presented. This one is 24 people. But let's say the next person has 12 people, but 6 of them are found to be lying, but the other 6 are found to be, let's say, truthful.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that? Half of them lied, half of them did. So is he fully wrong or is he fully right or whatever the case may be? You're going to have to go back to the drawing board and amend it now. So it's like, when you make a decision, there's never going to be a side of the whole coin, the side of the coin that's actually always going to agree with it. And so you have to make a decision. You have to live with it. People didn't like the Mike Vick situation, but they still got for it. Like, I mean, come on. We're all talking about the whole domestic abuse and all the stuff like he was doing with dogs. And people always reference that one to sit there.
They never forget,
that stuff. But yet now you're going to act like you didn't just all of a sudden accept that because he got out and got a chance to play again.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
Wasn't the Ray Rice saga when the commissioner's exempt list first came about?
If he has to miss a whole year, he has to miss a whole year. He's 27 years old. He's got at least 10 years left of playing if he really wants to play. And if he's as dedicated as what he says in all of his comments, it's not going to stop his career. So if you make a mistake, just own it, take the consequence and do it. So if they appeal it and say it's indefinitely, it doesn't mean that it's actually going to be that for the rest of your career. Because if you believe in forgiveness, you believe in trying to see if people can actually change. At some point, as much as you want somebody, you have to accept the fact that he could come back. So you have to accept that. So just take the year and then do what you do. It's better than what it could have been. It's better than could have been in jail. Honestly, so at the end of the day, it's not.
It could have been so much worse for Watson.
Yeah.
It could have been so much worse for him. But
24 women. And they all, let's see, he got accused and he was found guilty after 24 accounts of domestic assault or a sexual, whatever you want to label. I can't remember the actual.
Oh yeah, if he would have been found guilty with even half of that, he'd have been talked about like R. Kelly, and y'all know it too.
I think right now, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I would be staying focused on football because whatever decision comes out does not mean it's permanent. But if I really want to turn my life around or right the wrong that I did, I've got to stay focused on the things that's keeping me straight and not worrying about being upset because the suspension turned into a definite.
Well, we did go a little long on this topic, but it's all good because, good talk is good talk. But we got to move on to our by the way, we're at the midway point of the show. If you all would point down at the bottom of the screen and see the ticker going across, we are sponsored by the Score No Score app. And it's available on Google Play and Apple App Store. So basically, it's gambling for dummies, as my cohort Dom would say. But what you do is you bet on plays. Literally, you have football and baseball on there right now. You can bet on, is Aaron Judge going to hit a home run? Is Altuve going to get an RBI or steal a base or something? Is Pat Mahomes going to throw this touchdown? So it's not necessarily, it's like, with straight on sports betting, you go by games, point spreads, and such, and that's cool. And then with DraftKings, you got the whole it's fantasy, whatever sport, and then you tally up the you stay under a certain cap. Well, this one's different because you're not going by the games, you're going by the plays. And you get a set number of coins to start, and then if you like it and you want to invest a little bit of money into it, you get some more coins. It's fun. I like it, but yes, download Score No Score app. It's in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Next topic. Deebo finally gets the bag. So Deebo Samuel finally gets his. Now I know it started off, that he was kind of seeking other teams. He wanted out of San Francisco. San Francisco was in dire straits because it's like, oh man, we're about to lose our best offensive player. No offense to Jimmy G. Dom would probably say all offense to Jimmy G. But But he finally got his deal. He got a 3-year extension worth $73.5 million with $58.1 million guaranteed.
That was the fifth one in Chris Sims's list. It was Deebo. It was Deebo, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Tyreek Hill. And I was like, Deebo. And then I'm like, where's Devontae? But keep going. You jogged my memory.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, we like all those players, but did a 16-year-old make that list?
Chris Sims.
But anyway, yeah, some people never make it past 16. Anyway,
R.I.P. Chris Sims' spleen.
that was wrong. but Deebo Samuel finally he got his bag, y'all. Best offensive player, at least in my view. You know, you talk about a dude that was, now mind you, he was carrying the ball in excess due to the absence of Raheem Mostert. Mostert's now in Miami, so he did come out there and say that he didn't want to take so many handoffs. You know, he wants to be back in that exclusive wide receiver role. But I mean, we'll see what the 49ers do with him this season. They were another Kyle Shanahan blown 10-point fourth quarter lead away from the Super Bowl. But I love it for Deebo. You know, he deserves it. And Dom, your thoughts about Deebo's new contract?
So the contract he got, that's it's pretty much commensurate in the like 4 to 6 range in the NFL as far as highest annual salary, correct?
Right.
I feel like it's about right. Me personally, as much as I like Deebo, he's an explosive weapon. Granted, he had some injury issues early in his career. I wouldn't say he exactly came out of nowhere last year, but it's like, man, that's a lot of money for a dude with, you know, one great season, you know, on his resume. Granted, a lot of the time, young players, they pay you for what they expect you to do, not what you've already done. I mean, I'm not mad about it. San Francisco's not in my division. Oddly enough, even with Trey Lance starting at quarterback now, the odds for Frisco to go deeper in the playoff are rising by the moment. Ever since this stuff came out about Staff Goat's elbow tendonitis, they do not know if he's going to be okay. Period. Oh, wow. Like they're just kind of letting him rest. But I mean, you know, he's a 30-plus-year-old man, and they're talking about either it's going to get better or he's going to have Tommy John surgery and miss a year. But we can leave Staff Goat for a different day. Congrats on Deebo getting the bag. You know, luckily for him, he didn't have to hold the franchise hostage. They gave him what he wanted, and ultimately, for the most part, what he deserves. And I love seeing guys get paid, especially when they've earned it.
Oh yeah, JJ, your thoughts on Deebo Samuel?
I will say though, he was gassed at the end of that playoff game against Green Bay.
Oh, absolutely.
Because no one else could do a thing.
Okay, so first of all, there's so much to catch up on. What happened to Matthew Stafford?
He's got some elbow tendonitis issues, and they're handling him with kid gloves at the moment. They're giving him like several days off of practice, and I guess it's just kind of a wait and see. I guess they're hoping he responds to some sort of treatment, or he's gonna have to get Tommy John surgery.
Well, you guys often credit Stafford for being able to play through some tough injuries. So,
oh yeah, he's low key one of the toughest dudes in the NFL. Like no one talks about his fortitude out there. But Deebo. Deebo, yeah.
Deebo. I'm happy for him. I don't go against anybody. To be honest with you, I don't have any issue with anybody going after money, like at all. I mean, it's all kind of opinion based, whether we feel like they deserve it or not. And some of us feel like this time, this was a person that majority of the people felt like deserved it. So now, don't mess it up. I'm not saying don't mess it up. I'm not going to say don't mess it up, but I'm just saying, like, they want to win now. They wanted to keep you because they believe you can help us win. So now, if you really care about them the way you say some of that you have said before, then go out and show what's up. I do think they need a little bit more. I think they're good enough to get there. I just don't think they would be able to be good enough to win unless they get some other dynamic player coming out of their offense outside of just Deebo.
Yeah, I don't see Trey Lance beating Matt Stafford or Tom Brady or probably not even Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. But who saw Jimmy Garoppolo getting to the Super Bowl?
And then almost getting to the Super Bowl.
No, they're going to be good because they have the foundation. And I was talking to one of my friends who's a 49er fan. Shout out to Mikhail AG. We do it all the time, draft all the time together. 49ers invest in their line. And because they invest in their line,
O-line and D-line,
a great chance to win. Think about their offensive line has the reason why they can have 200-yard rushing games from a random quarterback or a running back and lead the top 5 in rushing. And their defensive line, when we talk about Nick Bosa quietly had, 16.5 sacks last year? Or something like that. He quietly had an impressive year. And they just keep reloading. So they're always going to be a chance to kind of win. Now, Deebo just saying, if you can get some help, like if Brandon Ayuk can come together, get a healthy George Kittle.
That dude is allergic to grass.
He won't need to be able to get the handoffs in the run game because they're going to have to account for Kittle in the passing game, which will give them better chances to see favorable matchups.
And Elijah Mitchell's no ho, but San Francisco just seems to have so many problems keeping running backs healthy. Like, look what Mostert did in the playoffs 2 years ago, and then he comes out and gets hurt, in the preseason? I know this because I drafted him in, the 3rd round of fantasy. I also drafted Gus Edwards.
And I bet you thought he was a steal, too. Like, yo, he ran all over Green Bay. I'm about to kill it this year.
My team was dead and buried by week 2.
If there is a guy or a person, because if there's a person that can make your offense work, it is the coach at the end of the day with whatever he has, because before being a coach, his whole specialty was making it work with whoever got on the field. So you had to come up with some trickery. You had to come up with some different techniques. Now, I want to see if Deebo's going to get it what he wants. Glad he got his money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will move on to our next topic, and that is Dolphins owner Stephen Ross suspended for 1 year. So, in the week of suspensions, Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross has been fined $1.5 million and suspended from participating in team events and operations through October the 17th. The penalties marked the conclusion of the NFL's investigation to reports that the Dolphins tampered with coaches and players from other teams and intentionally lost games to improve his draft prospects. By the way, this is from CNBC.com. Dolphins will also forfeit the team's first-round pick in 2023 and the third-round pick in 2024. So, my thoughts on this. This Brian Flores is somewhere saying, "I told you so."
Thank you.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Plain and simple.
Thank you.
You know, and he's putting it out there. Let that be the last time y'all don't listen to me. I was around that culture. I was trusted in improving that culture. I brought it up from hard times. This is how they did me. This is how this man is.
So
I'm just disappointed.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just disappointed nobody went at Jerry Jones first, but wait for it. But yeah, with this, Brian Flores is vindicated, but y'all, we knew this since day one. We knew this. You talk about your dumpster fires, and even though Miami was winning games and even made the playoffs 2 seasons ago, I mean, with an owner like that, but the crazy part about it is you got all these draft picks. Well, I never saw the reason or the need for them to even tank games in the first place. They had damn near every first-round pick for the next 10 years or whatever, Yeah, I didn't see a need, but I don't know. I guess greed is a real thing, even outside of money, draft picks as well. But yeah.
Unless you're less need.
Yeah, unless you're that too. And Snyder's got his coming too, don't worry. But Dom, yeah, your thoughts on this whole situation?
I mean, it's like you said, we all saw this coming. Stephen Ross is a scumbag. Their GM is an idiot. And unfortunately, Brian Flores had to be the one that fell on the sword. Do you think Brian – let me refresh everyone's memory. Brian Flores did not want to draft Tua. So I don't feel sorry for this dude. However –
he wanted Herbert. He wanted Justin Herbert.
However, this whole set of events was put into motion or put into overdrive by the biggest scumbag on earth, Bill Belichick. Oh, I just accidentally texted the wrong Brian. You lying SOB. I hate you, Bill Belichick.
What did he text him again?
He thought he was texting what? It was Brian Dable and Brian Flores. He thought he was texting Dable and he actually texted Flores, or the other way around. Well, yeah. Suffice to say, Bill Belichick had something to do with this. The funny thing is, after all this nonsense, you watch 2023 starting quarterback for the Dolphins. It will be Tom Brady. Book it.
You still saying that?
Watch.
Why?
Because Giselle told him, you either get one more year in Tampa, because I don't want to live here. I want to go to Miami. She said, you get one more year, or we're moving to Miami and you can play till you die. I don't care. I just want to be in Miami. That's how this whole thing came about, because they were tampering with Tom Brady. He just wasn't ready to leave yet because he was waiting for them to get Tyreek Hill. Because in the offseason, they didn't have him yet. And he's looking around, he's like, Waddle. And who's that joker from University of Louisville? Is he still on the team? Devontae Parker? DeDropte Parker with his non-route running ass?
DeDropte Parker. JJ, your thoughts about this whole situation, man?
No, you pretty much said it. Brian Flores, he's sitting there thinking like, this is why Mika wanted to be leaving. You know, some people, and it just so happens Mika and Brian are on the same squad now.
Yes, they are.
And they're on a squad that's the complete opposite of the team that they just came from.
I think Flores is going to get that job because eventually here, Mike Tomlin's going to completely lose control of that team and finally he can't keep going 500 every year. He just can't.
I don't think so on that front though. I do think they have. If there's one team, they've had only 3 coaches in the last 4
I know.
Years.
I know. Crazy.
Loyal. They're extremely loyal to the teams that they're on because at the end of the day, it could be much worse. I get where people are saying you can't keep going 8-8 and all this stuff every year, but I think at the end of the day,
Jeff Fisher did it a lot.
But even at
Garrett did it a lot.
Even at the end of the day, the NFL has shown you that regardless of what your record is, just get to the playoffs and you have a chance. And at the end of the day, if you have a chance to still be there, they were in it till the end of the year this year. You still give yourself a chance. Would you rather keep going through 1 year 10-6, 1 year 11-5, the next year 4-10 and stuff, or would you rather be at that consistent 8-11 mark with some possible years to get 13 wins, which is what they did 4 or 5 years ago?
I mean, there's a reason that Pittsburgh's the best run organization in the league. Continuity, like you said, 3 coaches in how many years? 50 plus.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think Tomlin will lose locker room, but I think Tomlin, from what I've learned about him, and Flores, from what I know about him, they might actually be a much better team than people are going to realize.
Have you seen Kenny Pickett in training camp?
Well, at the end of the day,
he threw 5 picks the other day.
No
fumbles, 5 picks.
But at the end of the day, training camp is to prepare you for in the beginning of the game. And if he was a rookie that didn't struggle, I'd have when's it going to happen?
Yeah, you're right.
And he's not a highly touted quarterback.
But he's a hometown boy.
And it's a good organization. But back to Miami. First of all, who's their coach now?
Some guy I barely heard of. I literally can't even remember his name. All the guys that got hired, I'm like, who are these guys? Some coordinator.
We're about to see the true makeup of the players on this team because they don't really have anything to lose after this situation. They've been fine. They got the new coach,
Mike McDaniel.
Where do I know that name from?
It's not Josh McDaniel. He was a coordinator for somebody.
But it's funny that Don brings the theory about Bill Belichick. Because I'm like, everything kind of. I do remember that text coming out. And then that's crazy how this whole investigation got started. Way to indirectly get your opponent out the way.
Yeah.
Way to get your opponent out. But that's Bill Belichick, to be very honest with you, because my Ravens have been on the receiving end of his, but in this case, it wasn't trying to destroy the team. It was just because out of respect, he didn't want this team to get ahead. Trading ahead of us to take Donta Hightower when we knew that was exactly going to be the heir apparent to Ray Lewis. That was Bill Belichick jumping in to take over. And so now with Miami, they don't like Miami. They never had. They never did like Miami.
Oh, McDaniels from the Mike and Kyle Shanahan coaching tree.
Yes. He was the 49ers OC.
Yep.
He's the 49ers offensive coordinator. And actually was pointed out by
You
our
think
guy.
how to not hold leads?
Next shift, Randy. Yep. He was 49ers OC last year. So, I mean, you would think, him coming in would improve, the offense. But Tua is still, number one is still the quarterback. So the jury's out on him. If this dude can work miracles with Tua, then more power to him, But all I know is the jury is out for Tua this year. That's it.
The jury is in. That ceiling is so low he has to duck when he walks into the room.
I will strongly disagree with both of you about the whole Tua situation because, number one, we just acknowledge how toxic this culture is. And he came from where? Alabama, where it's winning culture. Let's see what happens when the culture changes with this kid because at the end of the day, whether you want to say it or not, he's not the worst quarterback that came out of his class.
No, he's not.
They were in better chances to win games. And at the end of the day, they were going through so much last year. They got rid of their coach from last year. They had the whole situation now come down, which is proving things that happened during the course of the season. That's hard to play through for anybody. Now we're going to see if you clear the air and have some continuity going on and some positive reinforcement affirmations for you. We're going to see what happens with Tua, and I think Tua's going to respond well. There could be worse.
If Tua can play a whole season and win more games than he loses, I'll give him a round of applause. Congratulations, Tua. You're a left-handed Dak.
Ain't nothing wrong with Dak either.
Nothing wrong with Dak, though.
Like, I don't get this. At the end of the day, I feel like we really hold so much on these players based off.
We do kind of trash the quarterbacks that aren't in the elite categories. I'm not going to lie.
But that's the crazy thing is we don't always trash the guys that are not in the elite category. We trash the guys we want to say is not in the elite category. And then there's guys that are not in the elite category. We say, hey, they're underrated. Derek Carr, you're really good. Oh my gosh. Your boy was just like that until he won this ring. Matthew Stafford. Oh my gosh, he's one of the best quarterbacks ever. And the best quarterbacks that's not talked about. It's just quarterbacks we don't really care for or that personally think they're good. It's okay to admit that you don't think the dude's good. I'm just saying I don't agree because I think the dude is good.
I'll say this much and we got to move on to non-sports topic. The reason why I say that is because would it be too soon to pull the plug on him? It's subjective. But a lot of people see it as, listen, on paper, the offense improved. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Raheem Mostert. Provided he stays healthy, he's going to be a hell of an asset. You got a new coach in Mike McDaniels, and you know how 49er offensive coordinators typically get. Mike Roman, not Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is the head coach, but or not Mike Roman. I'm sorry, Greg Roman. Typically, this is supposed to be the year he's supposed to come of age. But if Tua flames out this year, you really foresee him getting another year.
Right. He's not. I mean, not that he's old, but he's not getting any younger. His injury history isn't getting any better. He's not getting more athletic. His arm's not getting any stronger. Tua is what he is.
But you don't know that, to be very honest with you. And if he doesn't do this, he's going to be, 24, 25?
Yeah, but his body—he's got the body of like a 70-year-old.
How? He had unfortunate breaks. It happens in this game, but they're not we're in medical advance, so we just don't know yet. Like I said, that's if he flunks out. If he flunks out, I get to.
Didn't he break his hip?
If he flakes out,
who breaks their hip besides 70-year-old men and Bo Jackson?
We're talking about people that take physical grunt like this year in, year out. You're asking who gets their hip hurt? Like, come on, Dom.
It's a rare injury. Unless you're a 70-year-old man or Bo Jackson, it's probably not happening to you.
How are we going to sit here and say that? But yeah,
I just don't like Tua. That's all there is to it.
You just going after Tua. I get it because we're gonna sit here and say that.
You know who loves Tua and he's an idiot? John
We're gonna sit
Shearer.
here and talk about. We're gonna say that.
Hi,
About
John
Tua.
Shearer. Your quarterback sucks.
We're gonna sit here and talk about Tua, but acting like we ain't sit here and talk about. Oh my gosh, these NFL players go through so many injuries that we don't even know about. Like, come on.
People tried to call Stafford injury plagued early in his career.
They did.
Then he went 6 seasons without missing a snap. But moving on.
That could be Tua.
Our non-sports related topic, which was brought to us by our guy JJ Jenkins, best female Mortal Kombat character of all time.
I love this one.
I'm gonna roll, and you know what? There really ain't a whack female, honestly. Like even Queen Sindel, you know, even she was decent. But I still gotta stick with Katana. First time I seen her on Mortal Kombat 2, dude, I knew it was on. You know, how you could just take fans, and turn them into a weapon. I was like, oh shoot, this is
lightning bolts.
Yeah.
I love Katana. I would say of the old generation, it's definitely Katana. But from the new games with the revamps of like 9, 10, 11, and 12, 11, Cassie Cage came of age. I like Cassie Cage. Cassie Cage.
She's a dude. She is a Jack Sonya hybrid, and she is awesome.
I think she honestly, I think she's the best of both of them. And I think I like Cassie, but I give you Katana because Katana. Every girl had their Halloween costume as Katana. Everybody wanted to be Katana, and the fans are iconic, and the color, the blue. And I think also has to be said about that is we're going to sit there is Katana is just as great because you see the anti-version of her and Melina. And that really solidified Katana's legacy because that was her equal, but in a bad way.
Yes, exactly. And you know something? I'll give you Cassie Cage because right now I'm saying Katana, but here in the next 5 years or so, dude, Cassie Cage may be the female GOAT because I'll tell you why. They're going to force her character to step it up because her mother died. Spoiler alert, Sonya Blade died. But, yeah.
No!
Yeah. Sorry, y'all had waited more than enough time to play the game and everything. But, yeah, she was killed in the beginning of Mortal Kombat 11. But this is what's going to force them to have Cassie Cage step it up as a character. Because she's going to want to, be that leader like her mother. She's going to want to, own her skills and continue coming of age, like you said, JJ. So I think right now I got Katana, but, by the time it's all said and done, it might be Cassie Cage, bro.
What you got?
I'm going Sonya. Before I even knew that she was dead, that just cements my pick. Sonya, kiss of death. Plus, it's Pete Sampras's hot ass wife in the movie, and she breaks Kano's neck.
Hey, yo, real talk. They did a good job with the Sonya of this one and the one before, but that's a good thing you brought her up because that Kiss of Death, I remember seeing it on the MK trilogy back on PlayStation, and I just I couldn't watch it because I think she explodes her head or just makes it shrivel up into some.
I think it just shrivels, right?
Yeah.
Or something and the Katana's Kiss of Death blows your head out. I just could not watch that.
Yeah, it was crazy. They, I mean. There's so much, because me and you were talking earlier, and you brought up Shiva. She was the only female forearmer out there, and even she was
forgot about her.
Yeah.
And then you had Queen Sindel, who managed to have an appearance in that awful Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I need Sindel to come back. Because she's ruthless as well. Oh my god, yeah. Her hair is iconic. The hair.
Yes. Oh, the skunk hair, the white and black streak.
Oh yeah, wasn't she the one that could pick you up with her hair?
Yes.
Oh, so Dom, I want to also know, Ronda Rousey plays Sonya in MK11.
Yeah, she does. Yes, she does.
Look at his face. Look at it.
I know, right? Oh no! Hold on. He about to make that. Keep that face on, Dom, because in the last minute, I got one more non-sports related topic, real quick. Hold on. You must pick one. You must eat one. Okay. Chitlins or liver?
Pull the trigger. I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want. I don't want to live on this. I don't want to live on this earth anymore. I'll take liver only because. Oh, I don't know. I mean, you're
You about to eat some booty noodles?
no. Well, I mean, chitlins are obviously intestines, so they have all the toxins, whereas the liver just has the alcohol. So give me the liver, I guess. Actually, no. I'm going with my first answer. Pull the trigger. I don't want to live.
What do you want?
I'm gonna go see the Lord, and so I would definitely pull the trigger. I'm sorry, because I do not like to eat chitlins, and I don't want to eat liver. Okay.
I've never had chitlins, and I don't plan on it. Like I could smell them for 5 feet away, and I was like, I'm good. And that's when I was a little kid. And then my mom told me what they were, and I was like, oh, I'm all the way out on that nonsense. But honestly, though, liver when it's being cooked smells just as bad.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, it can have like an irony like smell.
Yeah.
Like it legit smells like blood. Oh,
no,
man.
Take it off the screen.
It's okay. We're at the end of the show. All right. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Gauntlet. I had to moderate this week and probably for some other weeks to come. Shout out to our guy James Tatum. Congratulations on the internship at the University of Penn, and you got our support 100%. Shout out JB Ellis, Eric Wilson, John Shear, Jake
Megan Price, the Queen of Hoops.
Megan Price, the Queen of Hoops, Jahan, AB, Kerry Johnson, Jacob Krishner, Jennifer Matthews Lewis.
We love you, Sideline fam.
And our guy Will Vogel, of course.
Yes, and thanks. I really want to say this was fun having them on last week. I get to see this, and shout out to everybody for sure. This has been great. This was a very fun show for me. Very fun.
Absolutely. And Bacon Grizzler, our guy Randy, thanks for tuning in and being in the comments, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, JJ, where can everybody find you?
Oh, snap. We do. Oh, hey, you already know. Right over here on the Gauntlet. Oh, snap. And also, in about a month, me and my boy James going to be doing our NFL picks of the year. We haven't decided on our date yet, but we're going to get that back up, so tune into that. That's where you can find me. NFL Carousel as well. Starting this year, I will be the Ravens rep. And the the sip-off on Thursday. It's a jam-packed day. Jam-packed week.
Dom, where you at, man?
Oh, man. If y'all don't know by now about all of our shows, let me just run down as many as I can remember. Sip Off on Thursdays. NBA Carousel on Mondays, right? NFL Carousels on Tuesdays. Here on Saturdays, of course. Basket Bros on Sunday with myself, Jay, Jacob Krishner, Willard Light, Will Vogel, and minimally Wednesdays, usually Wednesdays and Fridays, Kneecap Biting with Smoke and Jeremy B. We're everywhere.
We are everywhere. Gauntlet, Confidential Tuesdays, Punted Thursdays, Basket Bros Sundays. We are everywhere like bill collectors. And for JJ Jenkins, Dom DeRubis, JT Shiesty, and myself, this is the Gauntlet. See y'all next week.